Hey, it's James Taylor here. I want to talk to you about taking drugs and creativity and how those two things are linked or not. And I say all this, I want to preface all this by saying I'm not a physician, so I'll put that out there straight away. However, what was very interesting in a recent article in Nature magazine, which is a magazine, a journal for scientists, is that now 20% of scientists and researchers take prescription drugs in order to increase their performance in some way. And I see this happening very much obviously in the creative industries, lots of different types of drugs being taken, experimentation and different things to supposedly boost creativity. And I see a lot of people getting things really, really wrong because they misunderstand the creative process and what needs to happen within the brain at those different points in the creative process. So the thing to think about on this is that stimulants, Ritalin, Adderall, any caffeine, these are all stimulants in one way or the other. Your chances of having those kind of aha moments or those insight moments are decreased if you're taking stimulants. They can be useful at other points in the creative process, but in terms of aha moments, they will decrease if you're taking those kind of caffeine, those high levels of stimulants. So let's talk about the different points of the creative process and about the kind of drugs that may or may not be appropriate at that point. So when you're doing outwardly directed work, so in let's say the preparation stage, or what we call the evaluation stage, we have these 5 stages in the creative process, and you can go back to one of my other episodes where I kind of take you through each of these. But if we talk about those different stages, those require you to do very outwardly directed work. So in the preparation stage, if you're a writer, you're probably researching very much the area that you're writing. If you're a musician, you're listening to all that music, that you're getting inspiration from. If you're an entrepreneur, you're looking at how different types of businesses work, studying online, doing all your online research for that. Caffeine, stimulants like that, can actually be useful. They have a use, and because they're allowing you to do outwardly directed work. And meanwhile, at the kind of elaboration stage, what we sometimes call the 99% perspiration, when you actually have come up with come up with the idea, evaluate it, and now you're elaborating and actually doing the work. Stimulants also they can have a role there as well. However, when you're doing the inwardly directed work, so that's traditionally at the stage of the incubation, where we put things in the back of our mind, or the insight stage, where we kind of have those aha moments all the time, chances are they're not going to happen when you're taking stimulants, or they decrease when you're taking stimulants. When is the most common time that you're probably having those experiences of those aha moments? It might be in the shower, for example, or in a walk. You're not in a high stimulated type of environment. And part of that reason is because you're essentially defocusing a little bit. So you've gone from the outwardly directed stuff to the inwardly directed work that you're having to do. And stimulants aren't the best use for that. So that's why you see other types of drugs maybe are being used for those reasons. So the way to think about it is, if you need to work 8 hours straight, you need to do all that research, or you're putting in those early mornings, those late nights to get that startup ready, stimulants, caffeine can work and can be great. But if you want to increase your chances of having those great insights, you need to think very deliberately about, if you're taking any kind of stimulants or any certain types of drugs, about what point you take those in that process. Because for the incubation stage and for those insight, those aha moments, stimulants are not the way to go. You may be able to work 8 hours, non-stop taking caffeine, but your chances of having those insights are very much reduced. Hi, it's James here. Did you enjoy that episode? If so, there's 2 things that we can do to continue the journey together. Firstly, I would love if you to subscribe, give us 5 stars, and leave a comment. Secondly, if you go to jamestaylor.me and enter your name and email address, I'm going to send you some free goodies all around creativity and innovation. Look forward to continuing the journey together.